In today's video, we are genuinely sounding the alarm on the two topics that will affect health, your wealth, and your freedom. But by the end of the video, I'm going to explain why you should have a lot of hope, because a brighter future is on its way and not in the way that you think it is. As always, in all my videos, I show you exactly what everyone's saying and give you the news that actually matters.
Government's goal is to use advances in technology to make life simpler, easier, and more convenient for Albertans. And I'm happy to say we are doing that with a new app. It's called the Alberta Wallet, and it's designed to let you carry and manage government-issued documents on your mobile devices. The new mobile health card is the first of its kind in Canada, and you can show it or scan it at hospitals and clinics as proof of health insurance coverage in Alberta.
In the future, the wallet could include other documents like marriage or birth certificates, high school or post-secondary transcripts, journeyman or trade certificates, and much more. I'm proud to have worked with Minister LaGrange on the Mobile Health Card initiative, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of the things that we will be adding to the Alberta Wallet to solidify Alberta as the most innovative jurisdiction in Canada.
Hi, Matt Skates, Canadian Press. On the app announcement today, you mentioned steps that are being taken to ensure personal information is safe. Can you give some background on how this was developed, who was involved in developing this?
Let me turn that over to Minister Glubish, who is our lead.
Thanks.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So we led the development of the wallet in the core infrastructure that will be the repository for these government-issued documents. And then we partnered with Minister LaGrange's department on the issuance of the mobile health card into that wallet. So we've built the standards and the security and the encryption and all of the systems that these government documents will be issued in accordance with. It is all in alignment with our world-class privacy legislation and protections in this province. For me, it was as simple as this. If we are going to give a tool like this to Albertans to use, I want to make sure it's something that I'm comfortable using, and I want to make sure that there is no chance that that anybody can see how I'm using this card, using this wallet. That's up to me. And so that's what I'm confident that I can tell to Albertans is that you are in control of how you use this. Government can't see how you use this. We are simply there in the same way that today our job is to issue a paper card to prove that you are an insured Albertan to have access to the healthcare system. Now we also can offer a mobile option to say we will issue you that same proof that goes into your mobile phone that you can show and interact with the healthcare system.
Great, thank you. Question for the Premier. Just circling back on the books that were released by Edmonton Public School yesterday. It wasn't released by them, but it came out.
She says, and I quote, government's goal is to use advances in technology to make life simpler, easier, and more convenient. Sounds lovely, but let me make this very clear. Convenience is the camouflage. A digital wallet is completely harmless if and only if there are ironclad constitutional guardrails that prevent data sharing, behavioral control, and mission creep. Now, you might be asking, why assume the worst? Because we've already seen the playbook time and time again. Most notably, the last time Ottawa tried to make their own digital application, they built a For Everyone app, which caused the Arrive Can scandal. Remember the scandal that was so bloated, so expensive, and so invasive that it nearly toppled the entire Trudeau government. And when the dust from all the media drama settled, accountability vanished into the Ottawa fog. This digital wallet could become a key, and all keys open doors. But in this case, what does that door open to? ID-based access to services, reputation scores like the credit score that you have, but now it is directly tied to your online reputation, location histories, and centralized permissions that can all be dialed up or down depending on who's in power. I'm not joking. If you build the rails, the train will eventually show up. And before anybody is calling me a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, stick around because the legal side already laid out in black and white. And this tweet is from Jason Levine, who is the host of the fantastic Levine Show. He quote tweeted the Joe Rogan Experience clip where they're talking about how authoritarian Canada is becoming lately. And the three main bills that are the foundation of authoritarianism in Canada is Bill C-11, C-18, and C-63. I just want to explain very briefly what each one of these bills are because they deeply impact you and all your loved ones, okay? Because we're told that basically these are about safety, fairness, and Canadian content. But let's talk about what they actually do. So starting with BC 11, which passed in 2023, it's basically an update to the Broadcasting Act to pull online streaming platforms under federal regulation. What it basically means is that the CRTC can basically pressure platforms to boost approved content and bury what doesn't fit. Discoverability is almost like a dial a narrative. What is the narrative, and who's controlling the dial can control the discoverability of that content and post. And what Bill C11 basically means is that your feed is not actually yours. It's technically a curated mandate, because if you can throttle reach, you don't need to ban speech. You can just make it disappear. Now moving to Bill C18, which actually passed as well in 2023, which was for some reason a very lucrative year for tyrants in Canada. Bill C18 basically forces big platforms to cut government-blessed deals to carry news links, which basically means that news distribution is pay to play, with Ottawa holding the rule book. So basically, if you're properly gatekeeping based on the mandates and narratives that Ottawa wants, you get paid, and therefore who gets seen reshapes which voices survive, which is why it's so important you need to support any creator that you deem is talking about truth in Canada. And there's a lot of creators like that, including myself. Now Bill C63 is one of the most dangerous ones too, and it is being debated, but as you know, and if you've seen my previous videos, we've seen that the Canadian Parliament has only been in office for 20 days so far, and we are in the 9th month of 2025. But Bill C63 is basically a sweeping framework to police harmful content, set up a digital safety commission, and increase penalties, because you know the government loves to penalize people. Now what people are really scared of is because C63 has a lot of vague definitions and even more heavy enforcement. When you see a combination of vague definitions and heavy enforcement, basically tells you that they want to enforce how they define what's happening, which is empowering bureaucrats to decide what is acceptable speech. And once C63 is passed, Canada's free society enters into a permission society, very quietly. Now, you also might be asking, how do bills about streaming and safety relate to a digital wallet? It's actually pretty simple. Infrastructure plus laws equals leverage, because C11 shapes what you can find, C18 shapes which outlets stay alive, and C63 shapes what you dare say. Add a province-issued wallet to the mix of these three bills, and you've set the foundation for identity-linked access and enforcement. This is why people say the digital wallet is the precursor to true censorship. And while they centralize control online, let's take a look at what's happening on the ground.
Across the Ottawa Valley are raising concerns about upcoming forest spraying, approved by the Ministry of Natural Resources, saying the herbicide is dangerous for their health. CTV's Dylan Dyson joins us now with more information on this. Dylan.
Patricia, beginning in September, forest managers in Renfrew County will be dropping herbicide spray by helicopter across targeted areas to control low-lying vegetation. It has some locals concerned about health effects and chemicals seeping into their land and water. Glyphosate, the most common weed-killing chemical in Canada, is set to be dropped across select forests in Renfrew County. Tony Belcourt, a leader among Ontario's Métis communities, is concerned about the effects of spraying this chemical widely.
The forest industry is demanding it. If you kill low growth and coniferous trees and so on, the little ones, then you're going to have bigger, fatter trees for the lumber industry. That's what it's all about.
It's a practice the Ministry of Natural Resources has been doing for decades. In September, glyphosate is set to be dropped by helicopter on 5 square kilometers of forest in Renfrew County's northern region to help promote the growth of white and red pine, white spruce, and jack pine trees.
The lawns and gardens of our people, where our people depend on the food that's affected by these chemicals that are taken up through the food chain.
In a statement, the Ministry of Natural Resources says forest managers are required to create a buffer zone around waterways and other sensitive areas where they cannot spray to reduce the risk of accidental application of herbicides to non-targeted areas.
There is the potential threat that it gets into your backyard and wreaks havoc on your plants. But that's a low threat, and it's not something that's going to destroy your garden for the rest of time.
Health Canada approved the use of glyphosate in 2022, but a court decision this year ordered that decision to be reviewed.
There are countries that have banned it. Canada is not among them. We use it in our agriculture. We use it on our golf courses.
Environmental enthusiast Barbara Purdy is also worried about the forest spraying, citing concerns that glyphosate leads to health risks in humans.
We still have not heard a ruling from Health Canada on this. So just by virtue of that, no one should be spraying glyphosate in publicly used areas.
In a statement, operators that manage the Ottawa Valley Forest said glyphosate has been heavily studied over the years, and Health Canada has gone through and determined that as long as users follow the label directions, which we do, there is no risk to human health.
Because it's used so widely, it's one of the best studied of the potential chemicals you can use for this. And so that big body of knowledge has resulted in a pretty unanimous perspective from the scientific community that it is safe.
Ottawa Valley Forest Inc., the company that will do the spraying, says they want to assure residents that no spraying of private land will take place and reiterate that this is a program that has been taking place for decades.
Now, according to this report you just saw, Quebec won't allow spraying like this. The Nova Scotian people pushed back, and Ottawa is up next. Now, before I show you why this matters, ask yourself, why is glyphosate still being sprayed in Canada when many jurisdictions around the world have restricted, banned, or moved to completely phase out this harmful chemical? Why do we even have to question this? Why am I even making a video about this? We need to make this very clear. If there's even a debate about risk, transparency should be fully automatic. I'm talking full ingredients lists, who authorized it, where, when, and how much, as well as what alternatives were considered. This requires real public consent, not a notice taped to a fence the night before. Because the second it's sprayed in the air, it rains down, it's in the ground, then there is no do-over whatsoever. If it's safe, prove it publicly. If it's not safe, stop it immediately. And if you think it's just internet people sounding the alarm, listen to the culture. Because even Joe Rogan is talking about the tyranny that is Canada.
Would you ever consider living in another country?
I would have said Canada up until recently. Now Canada's fucking falling apart. All the shit that they did during COVID was just the total wrong direction. The trucker convoy, when they froze people's bank assets. You can't make honking your
horns illegal.
Bro, they froze people's bank accounts that donated money to the convoy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And what's so
peaceful protest, which everybody's supposed to be all about.
Right.
These people that were protesting COVID vaccine mandates and the lockdowns, and they fucking went after the people that donated, which is crazy.
Yeah. And you can track all that shit. And
yeah.
They tracked everything.
They shut their bank accounts down.
That's crazy, man.
You can't
buy fucking a piece of toast.
That makes people self-censor. And that's the terrifying aspect of that. And that's the thing that people won't say. It's not that big of a deal. They gave them their bank accounts back eventually. Look, that's sending a very...
Eventually? What does that even fucking mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
It's sending a very clear message that they can fuck with you in ways that you probably hadn't thought about before. They can fuck with your money. They can close your bank
Never
down.
even thought about it.
Never thought about it.
Never even thought about it.
Yeah.
Because when artists and podcasters who aren't exactly known for parliamentary briefs start calling Canada tyrannical, maybe it's because they're seeing what regular Canadians are seeing every single day. Creeping controls, emergency powers, financial choke points, speech policing, and now digital IDs. I'm not joking. This is exactly what it looks like right before the rules harden and the window closes. Absolutely no one voted to be managed like this. We don't want to be managed by algorithm, by regulator, or even by QR code. Digital convenience without constitutional protection is a velvet leash. Bills that decide what you can see, say, and share are not modernization. They're normalization of control. And spraying chemicals over communities while talking down to us about safety, that's not governance. That's negligence with a press release. But here's the hope. None of this is inevitable, actually. We can push back locally. We can demand receipts. We can even refuse to self-censor. We can call our MLAs. We can call our MPs, and we have the right to not hang up the phone until we get a straight answer. Because the truth is simple. When you're fighting these things, sunlight wins. The more the public knows about it, the more the public will logically move against it. Because if the Nova Scotian people didn't raise their voices against their oddly tyrannical Premier Tim Houston, Nova Scotia would have gone forward with the glyphosate spraying. Because if you want me to dig deeper into the Alberta digital wallet fine print, because there's a lot, and the underlying secret reason that Ottawa is choosing to spray a internationally infamous and banned chemical, drop a comment saying show the docs. And as always, like, subscribe, and share this with somebody who loves to say this can't happen in Canada.